Hello, my name is Jessica Hauser, and this is my reflection of my 25 hours worth of pre-student teaching observations done in my student teaching classrooms. For these observations, I chose to visit my first placement at Foothills Elementary School, which is in a kindergarten classroom, and then I chose to do my other 5 weeks at my 6th grade placement, which is at Union Grove Middle School. Over the course of all my observations, I was able to learn a lot from my teachers, get to know my students, and grow in my own knowledge as a future teacher. Through my observations, I observed the different disciplinary and management styles that my teachers have and had the opportunity to think about how I will develop my own disciplinary strategies when I begin teaching. I know that without good management in a classroom, it will be difficult for me to teach content to my students. Misbehavior is a huge reason of why it is difficult for teachers to teach content. If students are not doing what a teacher needs them to do, then a teacher could spend more than half of their day dealing with management problems instead of teaching classroom content. Through my observations, I learned a lot about my personal management styles, beliefs, skills, and practices. I learned that discipline can be both positive and negative, and an effective teacher manages, which is known as positive discipline, and an ineffective teacher punishes, which is known as negative discipline. I also realized that the number one problem in classrooms is not the lack of discipline, but the lack of procedures. I realized that to effectively manage a classroom, teachers must understand the types, categories, and causes of misbehavior. I learned that my own management style tends to lean towards strong management of the classroom, where the teacher is mostly in control, and there are consequences when a student misbehaves. I also somewhat tend to lean towards the confronting, group counseling, and leadership style, but still prefer the teacher-centered and teacher-controlled management styles. I also somewhat tend to lean towards students being able to internalize and individualize their own management with less teacher control. I realize that there are basic psychological needs of students, and that as a teacher, it is my responsibility to make sure to meet those needs and never harm a child psychologically, because this damage can be irreversible. Through my observations, I learned the characteristics that make a successful teacher and had the opportunity to observe these characteristics in the teachers I will be student teaching with. Successful teachers have in common personal attributes, pedagogical practices, and mastery over the content while understanding the importance of classroom management. They possess the skills that enable them to meet the needs, both academic and psychological, of their students. Successful teachers are engaging and well received by students. Successful teachers are, by definition, effective classroom managers. I hope that I can have these successful teacher characteristics when I start teaching. Through my observations, I learned that teachers can select management tools based on their teaching personality, the needs of their students, as well as the demands of their behavioral situation. I learned that there are 3 approaches to classroom management that can be utilized by teachers. There are consequences, group guidance, and individual guidance models. I realized that the effectiveness of these 3 approaches to classroom management depends on the quality of the teacher application of the models. If a teacher does not effectively apply these models in the classroom, then they won't be effective on the students. As a future teacher, I want to effectively apply these models in my own classroom and teach my own students how to have good characteristics that can make them successful. Character education supports both good behavior and academic learning. Ultimately, from these observations, I have learned many ways to constructively and effectively manage a classroom while teaching content to students. My ultimate goal as a future teacher is that I want to be able to constructively manage my own students while teaching them content, and ultimately helping my students become the best person that they can be.